Hey, what's up, everyone? Foxhounder N313 here from Dorks Like Us.
And Gym Leader Ryan, I'm trying to make sure that Rick doesn't do all the work this time.
Yeah, I got got a couple videos uploaded all around the Switch. I've went into a little bit of, we'll do a little discussion on it. I've addressed some of my concerns, but we're going to go over this a little bit more in depth. Now, I ate my words. I ended up pre-ordering the Switch. I said I was going to wait till E3 and see what else they announced. But I had this nagging thought in the back of my head that this thing is going to be extremely hard to come by when that moment comes. So might as well jump on early and get it while it's gettable and while there's still some stock available, which I pre-ordered a couple days ago. Good luck trying to do that right now. But yeah, so getting the thing day one, first ever console I've gotten at launch. Pretty cool stuff. So it's an historical moment for me personally.
Yeah, same here. I've never ever bought a console at launch. I guess the only thing for me that comes close to a B, I got the new 3DS XL on day one. Mm-hmm. But that's already, that's not technically a new console. It's more of a variant of an old console. Yeah. Because you know what to expect. Having a 3DS. So I don't think we have an idea of what to expect, but we haven't felt it. I haven't touched it, so it's gonna be cool.
I'm planning to do an unboxing on the thing, assuming GameStop doesn't screw up my pre-order, which that's known to happen. I really hope this is one of those situations where I really, really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, man. It's been an interesting week dealing with my GameStop, but that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about the Switch, and we'll get to availability later. I talked to Nintendo last night actually, and we'll get to some of the stories that I heard from Nintendo customer service about the Switch.
Sounds good. Well, look, you've got you take the reins on this one. What's the first thing you want to talk about?
Well, the main thing that I want to talk about is just the negativity toward the Switch, and I got 6 points trying to flesh everything out, because I feel like there's this thing. It's kind of like the presidency. It hasn't even been released yet, and people are already hating it. Yeah, so the first thing everybody always has an issue with is power, and I know this is your area of expertise. So and it seems to be something that has been like a giant echo chamber for Nintendo since the days of the N64, ever since the N64, just the power of the Nintendo console. And I think for me, something that we're going to talk about later kind of makes up for the idea of it still having the same basic power of an Xbox One. Right. In the range of being able to port those games over.
Well, it's an interesting thing, because you go back through their history. With the NES, it basically went uncontested. There was the Master System, which I think was technically more powerful, but it wasn't even an afterthought for people. It just, nobody knew about it. It wasn't popular. Then you go to the next generation with the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, and I think the Super Nintendo there was a more powerful system, but, it was really close. Really, really close. And then you go to the next generation. The N64 had the power, but the PS1 had the disk space, and that's where most of the third-party developers were like, well, we can't really make our games on this system, because they were doing a lot of things with audio back then. It was kind of the advent of voice acting and video games, so they couldn't really do much with the N64 cartridges. Then you move on to the next generation, and the GameCube was definitely more powerful than the PlayStation 2, and it got some decent third-party support, but it didn't get to the levels of what the PlayStation 2 had. Now, the PS2, out of the three systems that were out at that moment, was the weakest of the bunch. The Xbox One had more power, and it had the same amount of disk space. The GameCube had more power than the PS2. I think it was maybe just underneath the original Xbox. but it had a smaller disk storage. But despite all that, the PS2 got, more people bought it, got more third-party support. And that's kind of the last time Nintendo really tried to go out of their way to be the most powerful console. Then you move into and then of course with that, it was easily the weakest of the bunch, but it did considerably well because of the motion controls and all that other stuff. And then you go to the Wii U, and you could look at that and say that they were trying to go for power then. As I think I've talked about before, it was when it came out, it was up against the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And as far as we know, it was more powerful than those two systems, but it was only up against the PS3 and Xbox 360 for like half a year. Then it was the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which, pretty much outmatched it. Now we're on to the Switch. And with the Switch, it's we don't know exactly how powerful it is yet. People look at like the Skyrim trailer, and they're trying to figure out if that's the standard version of Skyrim or if that's the one that came out last year on the Xbox One and PS4. I don't know. But as I've said before, as long as the Switch is within the ballpark of the other two systems, which I think it is, that's not going to be an issue for third parties. If it were considerably weaker, if it were right on par with the Wii U, that might be a problem, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's for the publishers, it's about making money. And so, it's having the power thing, it's some of them will care about it, some of them do, but not the majority of them.
Yeah, and we know that it's more powerful than the Wii U because the Wii U can only run the Breath of the Wild at 720p, and the Switch can run 900p and then 720p docked.
Yeah.
So basically, the handheld is as powerful as the Wii U. So the dock kind of pushes it over the edge there, and it's so much. When people talk about the power, but all these other things that we have to take, we're going to talk about later, has so much to do that the power with what they chose, and can it be said that it's basically, it's a portable and a console, but basically it would be the most powerful portable ever made.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to think about it. I mean, people are looking at it as a home console. When I see it online, it's like, well, no, this is definitely home console. Well, no, it's both.
Yeah.
And if you're going to complain about power, well, this is the most powerful home console ever made, most powerful portable console ever made. And then just look at the price for it, and it is for a portable. It goes in the middle of it, and you're not going to get much better for a portable, and then just the fact that you can do that on with a home play those games on the home console as well. There's some things. It's not the most important thing. Like I mentioned in our talks yesterday, is the most important part of the games is enjoying the games, and I think as long as you will be able to make enjoyable games with the power that the Switch has. And the only reason why the Breath of the Wild is not running 1080p is because the game is so massive.
Yeah.
You gotta think about, like, it bodes well for any other Nintendo franchise, really, because those games are not going to have the scale of the Nintendo games that of Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild is so huge.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, people are like, whoa, 900p. What are you talking about? I was like, guys, just step back. The other game, Mario Odyssey will be at 1080p, 60 frames per second. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was running 1080p on the Wii U. It's definitely going to run 1080p on the Switch. So if people are concerned about power, I don't think they have much to be concerned about. because in games like Skyrim will at least be able to get it up to there, and I think it will bode well for. I think it will bode well because you want the power necessary to play the third-party games, but to still have the Nintendo. People don't buy Nintendo consoles for third-party games, and they never will.
No.
But just to give the opportunity for them to flourish, to flourish more so than they have in the past, to have the third-party games would be a nice addition.
Right. And the thing about the 900p situation with Breath of the Wild is it's kind of funny that wasn't really an issue for people when it came to the Xbox One. I mean, it was definitely talked about, but it was only done in comparison to what the PS4s have, pumping out. But most of the early multi-platform games on the Xbox One ran at 900p. I remember specifically Metal Gear Solid 5 running at 900p on Xbox One and 1080p on the PS4. But nobody really got that worked up over that. It was just something the fanboys in the comment sections would argue about, but the websites, didn't jump on it like they would with Breath of the Wild. And yeah, with multi-plats, I've talked about this before. The kinds of I've got a PS4. I can play these Western third-party games, whenever I want to. It's not really that important to me that the Switch has that. It would be great if it does get that. I think if there's any chance of Western third-party support being a thing on the Switch, it's going to be at E3. Don't for all those people out there that looked at that event. That event was for the Japanese. Now they did have some Western third-party games there, as I talked about in the video I did a couple videos back. But it was mainly intended for the Japanese audience. So when E3 comes around, and if you don't get any Western third-party games, then you can roll it out. Because I don't think they'll just come back around a year later and say, oh, we want to make games for the Switch now. Probably at that point it's not going to happen. But I think E3 is a very good chance that you'll see franchises like Call of Duty return, Assassin's Creed return, because they were rumoring the new one, Assassin's Creed Egypt, for the Switch. And they were going to say that was going to come out the exact same time as the Xbox One and PS4. And so, I mean, most of the other rumors were right. It's just because they weren't shown at this event doesn't mean they're not going to happen. It's just a matter of timing, and yeah.
Yeah, and to think about it, the only really Western, publishers from EA, and was talking about FIFA, about the world's most popular sport, soccer, which is beloved in Japan. So that's why it would be crucial to the Japanese audience to know if they're getting a soccer game on it or not.
Right.
So, and that's a good point I haven't thought about. But you look at the list of third-party developers. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, he's big in the Bloodborne, and call him like just the dark, like the Dark Souls series, like the little subgenre of those games. And he was talking to me about Dark Souls, and I was like, who are the publishers? And it was From Software, and lo and behold, some of the From Software is one of the supported developers for the Switch. And so we got 80 games coming to it, in the first year. So we're going to and that transitions us into the next one, and next thing, games. And a lot of people were saying that this is a lackluster launch and compared to the Wii U, and I beg to differ. Yes, there's 5 games coming out of the launch. There's The Binding of Isaac. There's the 1-2 Switch, Has Been Heroes, Redout, and Breath of the Wild. And my point about, I think the Switch is the Nintendo Switch is doing a much smarter job of its launch lineup.
Yeah.
The Wii U did not have a Nintendo game that made you go out and buy it day one.
No.
And that was I think that was the major fault in the Wii U. If there was a game big enough to push it through, then people would have bought it day one, and that that was their intention with Pikmin 3. And even if they were to release Pikmin 3, I don't think it would have done slightly better. But I don't think the Pikmin fan base has enough to get enough enthusiasm for a console. But everybody's like, the Wii U had tremendous third-party support coming out, and it did. But all of them came out at the same time. They didn't space out releases for the different third-party games, and most of the people that were in the line to get a Wii U had one of the other systems and already had those games that were available on it.
Right. This is something I kind of go back and forth about is that third-party support that we got on the Wii U initially, and we were talking about this last week, and I was saying that those would have been great supplementary titles if you were someone that had already bought the Wii U for another game. But again, like you said, that was the problem. You had a Mario game there, but that was basically more or less just like a reskin of the one that was on the Wii. And that wasn't enough to get a good chunk of Nintendo fans to go out and buy the system. If you'd got more people there at launch, then maybe some of those other third-party games would have looked a little bit more lucrative. But given that it only sold about 3 million in the first few months or so, it just wasn't enough to get people to get in there and buy those games.
Yeah, there's not the Switch will sell way more than the Wii U just because of the Breath of the Wild coming to it initially. There's a lot of people that didn't want to get on the Wii U that skipped the Wii U altogether, and wanted a new Zelda game. And if you skip the Wii U on a new Zelda game, the Switch was a perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And the good part about the Switch is that it's coming at a time where there's a lot of games in development, a lot of big games in development, and they're not finished yet. So it's a good opportunity for them to get on, to get the new games while they're also going to be available on the other systems. Mm-hmm. So the Wii U was working with with everything already being released, and you had to pick. If there's no point in getting a game that you already have on another system, now you're going to be able to get Sonic Mania, FIFA, NBA 2K18, and Ultra Street Fighter 2. You're going to have your choice of where you want to get them. They're coming out the same time on other consoles now.
Right. That's true. And the thing about launch lineups in general, I was thinking back, the best launch lineup I remember, ironically, was the PlayStation Vitas. They had an Uncharted game at launch. They had a whole bunch of different exclusives at launch. They had a pretty solid first year, especially for a portable. But I mean, just in general, it had a really good lineup. But what difference did that make? You look at the PS4, you go out to the PS4's launch, and what do we have with that? If I remember right, it was Killzone Shadowfall, Knack, and Infamous. Now it's launch and launch window, not all their day one. And then most of the multi-platform games, if not all of them at that point, were cross-generation games, meaning they were on last-gen systems. So there was no point in buying the PS4, Xbox One. It's the same principle as it was with the Wii U and its third-party games. You already have the system to play these games. Why are you going to buy another system for a slight upgrade? And at that point, it really was just a slight upgrade going from PS3 to PS4 in those first couple of years. You're seeing some improvements now graphically, but in the first year or two, you didn't see that. But look how well the PS4 is doing. It didn't have a great launch lineup, but it still sold a crap ton at launch, and it still continues to sell a lot. Which of course the support has definitely improved. It's got much better games. But people get so hung up on this launch thing. It really doesn't matter. And I've seen people, one website in particular, and I won't dish out a name here because I don't want to give them any hits. But they were saying that it's the Switch. It's looking like it's going to be another Wii U where we're only going to get a handful of exclusives a year and that sort of thing. You've got to remember why that was the case with the Wii U. Nintendo had two systems they were supporting. They were not used to HD console development, and they saw that the Wii U wasn't going to sell no matter what they did, which is pretty much accurate, and just doubled down on what was working, and that was the 3DS. That's not the case this time around. It's one system, and I know they keep saying, oh, we're going to continue to support the 3DS, and people are reading too much into that, and they're going, oh, they're going to continue the 3DS line, there's going to be a 3DS successor. That's not what they mean. What they mean is they're going to keep the 3DS on the market until it stops selling. Maybe they'll do a revision, like a Game Boy Mini kind of thing, but they're not going to continue and do a 4DS or something stupid like that. They're going to double down on the Switch. I've said this before, if they can't sell the Switch, the Switch sells itself. If you can't sell the Switch, you might as well get out. If you can't sell that thing, you've got no chance of selling anything else. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. People forget that the teams at Nintendo, the development teams for consoles, there were two separate teams in two different locations, and they a couple year or so ago they moved them together, and this is what they came up with. So the problem is, you talk about the Sony launches lineups with the PS4 and the Vita, and the problem with the Vita is that it had droughts. And now the PS4, you don't have it. It started off weak, but it's never consistently had a drought. With the Wii U, there's been a drought, and early on with the 3DS, there was a drought. But now with the 3DS, you're always going to get games. The Wii U can never constantly keep games because there's nobody on the third parties making games for it. It depended solely on Nintendo to make games for it. Now you have one system that that you're going to have a massive install base already, because you're going to have a Legend of Zelda, you're going to have a brand new Legend of Zelda title, and you're going to have a brand new Pokemon title and a brand new Mario title, all on the same system. So third parties know that it's going to sell a lot. Sell a lot because people are going to buy that console to play Pokemon.
Oh, definitely.
People forget about this. They forget that this is good. That the next mainline Pokemon games will be on HD consoles.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. That's a huge system seller. And if they keep up with the trend that they've had over the past however long they've been doing Pokemon games, you'll get one every year or possibly one every other year. But those games are going to be huge hits. And I know we're going to get into the online later, but that's the thing. Despite how I may feel or anyone else may feel about the paid online thing, it really doesn't matter. Once Pokemon hits, people are going to pay, fee it is, because they're going on a battle and trade online with Pokemon. And people look back at the Wii U and they see Mario Kart and Mario 3D Land on the 3DS, is what jump started that system. And once those games came out, the sales were just went up and up and up, and it just never, it never ceased. And you look at, Super Mario 3D World, and those didn't really improve the sales of the system all that much. And people are like, oh, well, look, they don't sell the systems anymore. Well, the problem with the Wii U, along with many other things, it was aim and the lack of marketing. That's the biggest one, though, the lack of marketing. You can market just about anything and it'll sell. Now, I'm a fan of this particular movie. I know it's not very well received, but Suicide Squad. That movie was panned critically. One of the worst reviewed movies of last year, and definitely one of the worst reviewed superhero movies. Yet despite that, it made money hand over fist. It wasn't because they had cast diversity. It was because they marketed the hell out of it. And guess what? It paid off. And with this, Nintendo's got a great product this time around. I think they had a great product last time around as well, but they didn't market it. This time around, they don't have a name that can be confused with a peripheral, and they've got a system that markets itself. All they've got to do is show the concept of the system every time they do an advertisement for a game. And this would be key if they get some third-party games as well. It's a major marketing opportunity that Nintendo has, as well as some of these third parties, if they're willing to play ball, where they can market the games like exclusives, which is what Sony and Microsoft have been doing over the past 2 generations, and it's been very effective for them. Nintendo has a distinct advantage in that area because their console is a portable console hybrid. They can do an advertisement and every time show people playing the thing on the go or at home, sitting on their toilet, going on an airplane flight, what have you. They can. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, and and I'll mention some of the games, and then we'll go into concept. But I think we're going to have 2 brand new Sonic games coming to the system. You're having Skyrim. You're having major sports games come to like NBA 2K18 and FIFA, and hopefully sometime like a Madden release down the line. Then you're having a brand new Warriors game come out for the system, and then you could think about since Street Fighter, Capcom, his relationship with Nintendo was improved vastly over the last year. So they could bring a port of Street Fighter 5 over. So just think about, and with all the different developers in there, you could think possibly a Dark Souls could come in, or maybe a port of the Metal Gear collection from Konami in, because Konami's already doing Bomberman. So if these guys, the industry knows something that the general public does not. They that this thing is already sold a lot of units, and it's going to sell a lot of units, because remember when I bought a 3DS, I told people you need to go ahead and buy a 3DS because it is getting a brand new Pokemon game. And you just need to go and anticipate that. You need to go ahead and just because the games aren't there right now doesn't mean they won't be.
Yeah.
That aspect. But the Wii U, you're wondering like, okay, when we're going to get this game? It's a constant wait. The 3DS, you didn't have to wonder about that. And now we know for a fact that the Pokemon's going to be on there. So third party, if it's going to sell more units, the more units something sells, the more likelihood you'll get third party games.
Yeah, definitely.
And now for concept. Oh, this is good. I read an article by a writer who should not be named at a major gaming website. It said, quote, "The concept of the Switch isn't innovative." And I think he needs a little refresher in what the word innovative means. And the word innovative means something that hasn't been done before, something that uses creativity and that changes its surroundings for the better. And the Switch meets all of that criteria. I mean, there's nothing in video game consoles that even remotely that comes to this. I haven't heard it said. Like I was talking to you earlier, the only thing that came close is the cross-play between the PS Vita and the PS3/PS4.
Right.
And that is remarkably different because you had to buy 2 games, two different systems, and have it linked over one account. You just couldn't pick up and go either. You had to pick up from your save file that's over a cloud and then go on and play it on the go. So it's two different things.
Yeah.
Because, and not to mention that the two different versions of the game, but sometimes have slight differences, but have different. So what you're getting with the portable and the console version, you're not the only thing that you're losing a little bit when you undock it is 180p resolution, and 720p on a smaller screen looks really good.
Yeah.
So I think if there's any criticism that you can levy against the Switch, there's there's a good amount, like we're fixing to talk about in online, and then, but to me, the concept of it is irrefutable. I mean, it might be the future of video games and make everything else look like the past.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I love to bring this up. I said in January of last year that this is what Nintendo should do. I didn't say hybrid. That word didn't exactly cross my mind, but basically a combination of the two systems. They're two different branches. Their home console market and their portable market. And that's exactly what they did. And I looked at, the numbers. Their console sales have been dwindling over the years, and with the exception of the Wii, but that I think was mainly due to the motion controls of being something of a new kind of system. But even when you look at that, their highest sold platform was not the Wii; it was the DS, which was a portable. It would be like Ford having, they have their trucks, they have their cars. It would be like if they were selling billions of trucks and they sold maybe 10 cars a year. At some point, you have to consider whether or not you should keep making cars, or find some way to combine the two, like Nintendo did. And yeah, it's a revolutionary concept. Going back into the early parts of last year, when the system was being rumored and nobody knew what it was yet, there was the rumor that it was going to be the Nintendo Fusion. But the rumors that were surrounding that, and I addressed this in that video I did back in January, was that they were going, according to the rumors, what was going to be was two separate systems that shared the same library. That just doesn't work. You can have the system play the exact same games, and that's all well and good, but the issue is not the games. The issue is having to sell two different systems. And there's no way you can have a portable console, a portable and a console with similar and bundle them together without it costing $600 or $700. Just not going to happen. And that's, Sony found that out the hard way. I mean, most of the games that were on the Vita were shared between it and the PS3, and then later the PS4. And they did cross-buy with their own first-party games, but the third parties, for the most part, didn't. So you bought one version. That's all you got was the one version. You didn't get it bundled together with the other. That just doesn't work. I don't know how you can look at the Switch and say that's not innovative. There's devices out there that you can connect to your TV. I can connect my tablet to my TV, but can I play, Skyrim like that? No. I know NVIDIA has their Shield tablets, which are really powerful, but it's still it's not like the Switch. It's not this seamless transition. You've got to connect this HDMI cable. You got to wire it up and all that crap. With the Switch, you have this dock that you just leave on your entertainment center. And when you want to play it in portable mode, you just pull the tablet out. All the stuff that the thing needs to operate is in the tablet. And you just slide it in and out. And it's just as seamless as that. How is that not innovative? I mean, what kind of... I'm not going to go there. But come on, people. Let's be intellectually honest here. Give Nintendo some credit where credit's due. They've got their issues. They got things that they can work out. And there's legitimate things to go after them for. But it's just like with the Wii U gamepad. I've seen people over the past couple of years, supposedly hardcore Nintendo fans go after the gamepad. Like that was the problem. It wasn't the problem. The gamepad was perfectly fine, and if you've ever bothered to play it for more than 10 minutes and you didn't have this anti-Nintendo bias in the back of your head while you were playing it, you would realize that controller was the most comfortable controller that's ever been created in human history.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said with it. People need to kind of understand like the miracle they just pulled off.
Yeah.
In regards to the fact that you have this concept and you're not being charged out of the out of the yin yang for it. Like I've told people like the price of the Switch, and they're kind of befuddled. They're like, you're telling me that I'm doing all this, and then it's $300. Is it $100 cheaper than both of the other gen consoles, when they were at launch. And everybody that you explain the concept to that are not big gamers are like, whoa. And even like really anybody that I explain it to are like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, you can take this, because all my friends like portables.
Mm-hmm.
My friends like they don't have a preference. So having both is really good, 2 in 1. So the real winner here is parents. I mean, think about this. I mean, this is an aspect that people haven't looked at. The real winner here are parents, that you can get those kids. You only have to buy one console, and it takes care of all your needs.
Yeah.
2 in 1. You can even put up on the back of a headrest, and then have your kids play 2-player with the Joy-Cons without having. You don't have to buy more. You'd be hard pressed to buy more than one Switch until a Pokemon game comes out.
Yeah, that's true.
But in the fact that it does local multiplayer and and online multiplayer is tremendous, even when it's docked. So that's going to make for so just think about, like, if you had Call of Duty. If you were to have Call of Duty on a system, what would you have to do to hook up multiple consoles? You would have to run an Ethernet cable and then run them together.
Right.
Think about the possibility of doing local multiplayer from your Switch on the television with multiple televisions in the room. That would make it so much easier than having to hook up a cable and run through a bunch of unnecessary steps like you normally have to do.
That's true.
So it makes it easier for online play and local multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly.
I just hope Activision thinks of that for those.
Yeah, exactly. And just to sort of kind of related to this, but I remember after the Switch got officially announced, and there was one publication. I wish I could remember the name of this one, because they at least had the foresight to realize what was right in front of them. But they were talking about the possibility of this leading to Sony and Microsoft doing something similar the next generation. And the only thing they got wrong was how it should be implemented, because they were saying that Sony should release a Vita 2 and that it would share games with the PlayStation 4. I really don't think people understand why the Switch is such a good idea and why that other thing just doesn't work. People are not going to buy 2 systems, and with the Sony crowd and with Microsoft crowd as well, and it's not knocking them, but I think they care more about consoles. But if you gave them a system that was reasonably powerful, and I don't think most of them really care about the power either, but that's a whole other thing altogether. But if you gave them a system that could do what the Switch does, and you had all those big third-party games from the Western companies that may or may not appear on the Switch, along with the first-party stuff that they offer, like Call of Duty and or not Call of Duty, sorry, Halo and Gears of War, and with Sony you got your Uncharted, your Dead or not Left 4 Dead, what is it? Last of Us, yeah. You have games like that would appeal to them. But they're not going to get them to buy 2 systems. The problem, going back again to the Vita, I don't want to keep harping on this, but the problems with the Vita, aside from the lack of marketing, lack of support, and I think the most major thing being the overpriced memory cards, was that I forgot where I was going with that. It was, take it away. I'm in a mental block.
Well, to me, when you talk about the concept that the website talks about a Vita too, really the Vita is a really great portable. The problem with it was Sony fans already knew the PS4 was coming, and they're like, why do we want to get this when we know the PS4 is coming out? There's really, like you said, they put a more weight on the console. So Nintendo fans put more weight on the portables, as evidenced by sales numbers. So it's great for Nintendo, and Sony bless their hearts, they don't have the most original thinkers employed there, so there will probably be something along the lines that come to it. That I don't think their next console will do that. But either somewhere down the line they might have to, because I know Microsoft isn't going to do it, because Microsoft has never made a portable. They really have no interest in making portables whatsoever. And because they have a lot of what they do, they make PC games as well, so they really don't need to get in that industry. They don't need to find out a way that to them the risk is greater than the reward. But now
I know I was going to say, though, I don't interrupt, but the point I was going to make, and you kind of made it there a few seconds ago, was what with the Vita, when it came out, and of course all of its games being on the other systems, and the Sony fan base was already integrated into the other consoles, so you had a hard time trying to convince them that they needed this $250, however much ever it was at the time, system that played the exact same games, and you didn't have much in the way of like cross-buy incentive. I remember only a handful of games even having that. It was like Sly Cooper, PlayStation All Stars, and I can't remember the rest. So that's why that just doesn't work. With that fan base, they are more interested in consoles. You could push a hybrid at some point. It would have to be a hybrid. It can't be a two-system thing. It doesn't work.
Well, it would have to be something where Sony cannot deliberately get attention away from it. Mm-hmm. The Vita would have sold well if Sony did not support the Vita and they had a bunch of good. They had like you mentioned with your library. They had a bunch of good third-party Japanese games that came to the Vita, and to be honest with you, I don't blame Sony to an extent, because when you got when you got the cow that is the PS4, you're gonna milk it for all it's worth. Why go to the why feed grass to the cow that's barely giving you any milk? Why you can just make sure you water the grass to the cow that gives you a lot of milk.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a shame that it didn't do everything. The major problem was with the memory cards. I think that pretty much single-handedly killed whatever hype they had going for it. And if you really look at some of the moves they made there, it seemed like intentional sabotage. I've got nothing to back that up. I know it sounds like tinfoil conspiracy theory stuff, but I mean, you just read between the lines there. It almost seems like they went out of their way to see that it didn't do well. But that's another topic for another day. Back to the Switch. What else is on the agenda here?
Well, now we get to talk about the online, or the devil that is Dina, as we refer to it. Now, there's some. I want to say I watched the Nintendo parental controls video, and that falls under a part of their online because it uses a mobile app. And I want to say that I commend them, like having an app on the phone that you can just shut down immediately. What your kid's playing. I think there's similar stuff on the Xbox and PlayStation, because I've heard stories of kids being caught in that fashion, playing games they shouldn't have. But in terms of online, going to an app-based online and having to pay for the first time in Nintendo history for a service through online. So, Rick, you dealt with paid online more than I have, having a PS4. Well, my brother owns an Xbox One, so really the concept of paid online isn't any news to me. It, what's your opinion on the matter?
Well, so when I won the Gold PS4 from Taco Bell, they gave me one free year of PlayStation Plus. So it gives you a chance to sample it, see what all it's got going for it. Now, for me personally, not a big online guy. I do play it. It's not to say I don't play it at all. But I didn't play it enough to pay $60 a year for it. Now, my service expired back in November of last year. And in terms of features, you had your free games. They give you 2 or 3 games a month. Most of the time it was indie stuff. Ironically, I guess you could say the last month I had it, they actually gave away a really good AAA game with the Resident Evil Remaster Collection. It's like, okay, now you finally give away a good game that I would actually play. But at that point, I'm just like, I can just buy the game for what I would pay for another year of service. But it was indie games, and of course you can play online. Now, if you take away PlayStation Plus, and right now I don't have it, you can do things like voice chat, not within multiplayer games, obviously, but you can still voice chat while you're playing single player, or if you're just even in the menu, you can do that. And then you have your trophy support. You can still sync your trophies to the server or whatever. And you can message friends. You can do friend invites. You can do all that other stuff. Now, from my understanding with the Nintendo service, we don't know everything about it yet. We don't know the price. It's a lot of speculation at this point. Now, they announced some of the features. They're giving away, they're doing discounts on games, which you also got with PlayStation Plus. And I think with Xbox Live as well. I think everything that's on PS Plus pretty much applies to Xbox Live as well. I think the difference, though, is with Xbox Live, if you let your subscription expire, you still get to keep the free games they give you every month. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, with PlayStation Plus, if you let your service expire, you lose those games. So that's kind of a kick in the pants. But regardless, with the Switch, you're getting the discounts. You're getting voice chat. And I'm just talking about what you get with the pay thing here. With the free service, you get access to the eShop. You can invite or not invite friends, but you can add people to your friends list. And I believe I've seen something about possibly an instant messaging system. I'm assuming that's probably there in some form as well. But don't hold me to that. You just kind of glanced over that list. But you have that, and then you have the virtual console game that they're giving away every month. Now, what I didn't know about that the other day ago when I did the video after the Switch event was that those games are going to have some sort of online functionality. We don't know what that's going to be yet. It could just end up being leaderboards for some of these games. I don't know. But what's that?
So that seems the most reasonable assumption.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility they could do like online co-op for some of these, but that seems like that would be a lot of work, and I don't know. Possibly for some of them, but for the majority, I think it'll be just leaderboards, because a lot of those games from the NES and Super NES were high-score games, so leaderboards would make sense for those kinds of titles. They may also have, missions, those from My Nintendo. That very well could be a thing as well, where you could earn coins for playing those old games. So that's also another possibility. But I think the most important thing here with this service is the pricing. Just going off what we know right now. Again, there could be more things announced, and they could make the service worth more. But just looking at what we know, if it's within the $10 to $20 range, they really got something. Because I don't think with PlayStation Plus and with Xbox Live, people really care that much about the free games, especially with PlayStation Plus because it's mostly indie stuff. I think Xbox Live gives out more AAA titles. But I think most people paying for those services are doing so because they want to play online. So if Nintendo can offer up a service that has really solid online, like you don't have any issues, playing multiplayer games, and they have it priced at a $10 to $20 range, and that's for a whole year, they got something. They really got something there. But that'll be the big question. What concerns me is if it were going to be that cheap, it seems like that would have been a focal point at the event. But I'm not going to, land-base them for something I don't know yet. I'm just, it's all speculation.
Well, and the thing, I was like, paid online, and I'm like, I could see why it's happened. And let's think back to the Wii and the Wii U, and how many games on there wasn't many games on the Wii that you played online, and the Wii's online was not great.
No.
But the Wii U, the game that made them go this way is Splatoon. Now, Nintendo had an online. Splatoon has changed Nintendo and their entire tune about online multiplayer, because so many people play Splatoon. Extremely high percentage of people that own Wii U's own Splatoon and are playing online multiplayer. So, in order for it to have the best quality online, and knowing that people are going to buy Splatoon 2, having paid online for Nintendo makes fiscal sense. I'm not too happy about it, but think about it. You're going to have to get it to enjoy playing Splatoon and Mario Kart 8 and enjoy Pokemon, because now you're going to have to migrate Pokemon Bank over, and you're going to have so you're going to have all these things that are going to take online, and so I'm not even concerned about the paid online. My big concern is that they talk about it being a mobile based, and I'm wondering if that was I'm wondering if it's clarified correctly, because if you remember reports when it was called the NX, that the NX had a browser that was based on Android, like well, not a browser, but basically its operating system based on something similar to Android. So it makes me wonder if there is an app within the Switch as well, or something along those lines.
It's hard to say. I've looked at the UI, and I've done some videos on the UI, and it appears that there's nothing there. Now, they could be intentionally keeping things off of it to save for a later date, for a later announcement. Most of the websites I've heard reporting on it are saying that that's what it is, that it's this app that you get. And the question then becomes how, we talked about this, I think, last week or after the thing was announced. How's the audio quality going to be with that app? Because like you said, if you have an online game going, and I can attest to this, if you have an online game going, and then you've got a separate application for voice chat that's also streaming over your connection, that's going to cause some issues depending on your connection speed. And I can speak personally to this because, back last year, the old place we lived at, we had much slower internet. We were running about 6 or 7 megabytes per second. Got much better internet now, and I could definitely stream the two different things and have them go flawlessly. But for a lot of other people, that might be an issue. And we were wondering if possibly there's going to be an audio quality setting for lower connections. But even at that, it was, keeping that aside, even if you're someone that's on a high-end connection, how good will the voice quality be for this app? Because there's so many apps you could potentially use for that function, for chatting with a friend while you're playing an online game. You could use Google Hangouts, which is what we're using right now. You could use Skype. There's a whole bunch of different services, so they really have to get that right if it is in fact going to be something that's tethered to an app. You don't expect the greatest voice quality from an in-game voice communication thing. The PS4 was pretty good from the last time I remember using it, which of course you can use your own microphone, headphones, whatever with that, which you would most likely be able to do with the Switch as well. But I'm really curious to see how that's going to work out.
Yeah, and we were the other night we were making jokes. What does Dina have on? Miyamoto, or Numa-san, or Reggie? Just because it's all mobile based, and for my phone can run it, and I'll probably have it if it comes out. But it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if they will do something like what they did akin to the 3DS, and then have update that to be into the system, because I know Nintendo made a deal with Dina. I know they did for doing all their mobile stuff, but I think people would probably prefer to have it within the system. And now it might be out of the system for a good reason. It might have messed up something. It might have messed up the performance of the Switch or something along those lines. But I really doubt that it would take any processing power to negatively affect the Switch to have it away from the console. And it's just so un-Nintendo-like, because we're talking about the same people who made the Wii an analog system instead of an HD system, because they were concerned about people at the time not having HD TVs and them not being prevalent. And now they're just assuming everybody in the world has a smartphone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting, because I remember about the Vita, the thing had, I think, cross-game chat or a party chat, whatever they call it these days. And that's a significantly weaker system than the Switch. So, I mean, in terms of power, you think it would be able to handle it. So I don't think it would be an issue. That, and yeah, like you said, it's kind of weird that they would just assume everyone has a smartphone. It could be an issue, too. They've obviously gone through some great lengths with their parental control app. And it seems like with this online app that they've got, they want to relinquish as much control as they possibly can to the older gamers, because I think that's who they know is going to use it. I think they're making an assumption that kids aren't going to use the mobile app, because it's probably a bit of a process you have to go through between signing up and all this other stuff to get that to work, and they probably assume kids won't bother with that. So this is their kind of, I guess you would say, maybe backhanded way of kind of policing things to make sure that, kids can't do the voice chat and all that other stuff. I mean, that's just a guess. I don't know. But again, very curious to see how it turns out. And as I talked about in the last video that I did, it doesn't seem like there's a web browser there. Now, it could be something that you have to download through the eShop, but you would think that would be there on the home menu, as well as like a Hulu and Netflix, because with the Wii U, those were pre-installed. As soon as you got the system, they were there, and those were absent. So they're really betting the farm, it seems like, assuming that holds up, they're betting the farm on people having smartphones to handle all these other functionalities. The funny thing is, everyone was complaining about the lack of voice chat with the Wii U. Given Nintendo's current model, we had voice chat all along.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another, using, and it just, and you might see games do it, because remember, you have the Pokemon X and Y and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire were able to do voice chat through the game. You're able to have it in game and running through the 3DS. So, maybe it's something that they're asking other people to do on the system through the game instead of through the system. But let's see. The next thing we got is list on the price. I don't think there's much to say about the price, really, except that most people that I've heard say it's an exceptional price for something that is coming out at launch.
Yeah, people got caught up in the rumor that was going on that week leading up to the Switch event, or I guess last week, that it was going to be $250. And I thought there was a very slim possibility of that happening, but at the same time, I was, being realistic. I knew it was probably going to be $300. I think that's a reasonable price for what you're getting. I think some of their peripherals might be a little overpriced. I was watching someone today, and they were talking about everything with the system. Like, if you buy the Joy-Con separately, that's what, $80. And if you buy a dock separately, it's like, I don't know, $60, $70, $80, something like that. Then you've got your controller grip that you slide the remotes into, which the one that's coming with the Switch isn't the one that recharges the Joy-Cons. It's just the standard thing. I think they were trying to cut costs there. And they did say they're not selling the system at a loss. But you take into account the price of all these peripherals, And if you look, and this was what this person was pointing out in the video, if you compare the prices of everything that was in the bundle, or in what it comes with the system to the retail prices of all these things separately, the tablet screen itself would only come out to be around $90, which it costs more than that for that tablet with everything that's in it. So I think they are overcharging for the peripherals, but they could probably get away with it if we're being honest.
Well, right now they're focused, because think about all that comes with it. You can play 2-player right out of the bat. It might not be a way that you like to play it, but you got to think about it, since it's not coming with any games or any bundles, just like the Xbox One and the PS4. There wasn't any opening day bundles available for that either, or the Wii U. So you're getting the ability to play 2-player from the get-go, and basically it's still cheaper than to buy the Switch and get Breath of the Wild. You'll save $40, compared to buying just from the title just from the other systems alone, from the Xbox One and the PS4.
Yes.
So you'll be saving money that way. Not the case that they didn't come with games either. So I know I'm spending a good coin on the Switch. The GameStop bundle that I got included all the 5 games that are coming at launch. And the Joy-Con controllers are $80. But I look at the Joy-Con controllers, they're 2 controllers. So basically you're paying $40 for each. I think one by itself is $50. So you're best buying 2. The grip the grip that comes with the system is $15, and the charging grip is $30. And there's the Pro controller, which is going to come later. I actually called Nintendo about that, and they said that that basically it will be coming in future announcements for pre-orders and whatnot. So it should be. Yeah, the accessories is where they're going to get you this go around, but it doesn't hurt you as much, because there's not many multiplayer games to start the system, and the one that you're going to be able to play, like 1-2 Switch, it's a multiplayer game, but you can use both of the Joy-Cons for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be another Wii situation where you're going to have a Joy-Con Motion Plus or something like that. And a zapper, they're not going to get a crap ton of peripherals. What you see now is probably all there's ever going to be for it. You'll get color variations, and I think at some point the price on this stuff will drop as it goes along. But it's not a major concern, like you said. I mean, for me personally, I'll make do with the Joy-Cons that are included with the system, and I'll get a Pro controller somewhere down the road. But it's not a huge priority. I guess it really depends on how what you in terms of your comfort level, what you find comfortable, and what you know. People are really oddly specific about that sort of thing. But I think just looking at it, the Joy-Con thing with the controller grip, that seems like that's good enough for me. And I think it will be for the majority of people who use it as well.
Well, and I looked at it, and look at all the things that the Joy-Cons do, and both of the Joy-Cons are $80 compared to, if you look at an Xbox One Elite controller, they're $70. So so people talk about the peripherals. I mean, these controllers are going to be around, in the same ballpark. So $70 is too much. Is not too much, but $80 is. The Joy-Cons are 2 set. You got 2 controllers, and they pack a lot of tech in those Joy-Cons. So I mean, they have so much stuff in them that is ridiculous.
Yeah, and let's be real about something. When your friends come over to your house and they play that thing for the first time, and they get their hands on that, they play with the Joy-Cons by themselves. They play with the Joy-Cons in the controller grip, and they play with the thing in portable mode. They try it all these different ways. And if you're concerned for getting another controller is for multiplayer, you're not going to have to worry about that, because once they play that thing, they're going to go out and buy their own, and you're not going to have a problem with that. The only thing you're probably about to buy if you really want is just the Pro controller.
Yeah, and I'm going to get the Pro controller, basically for multiplayer. I have a feeling that the grip, I will probably prefer the grip because it'll be the most similar to the Wii U gamepad for me. Going back to a traditional controller has been a little tough ever since having the gamepad.
Yes.
And then people will ask me as a really diehard Nintendo fanboy, like, how dare you say that? I'm like, people, yeah, I don't know where you've been all your life. You never touched one before. But I think, and that's another thing, people worried about comfort level, Rick. There's so many different ways to play it. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to find your preferential way. You're going to either like the Joy-Con separately, you're going to like the Joy-Cons on the grip, or you're going to like playing it portably. Mm-hmm. Or even take it out and have the screen, and then take the Joy-Cons out and hold them like Wiimotes. Mm-hmm. That won't be my preferred method, I tell you that much. But somebody will enjoy it because a lot of kids grew up on the Wii, and you'll probably be surprised that will probably be a method that a lot of people use.
Yeah, I've heard some of the guys, the medias, these media people that got to go to the New York thing and they got to have some hands-on time with this. And I will say that holding the two Joy-Cons individually was surprisingly comfortable, and even the ones that necessarily didn't find it comfortable said it was completely functional. So I mean, it's not a major issue. And third parties are going to come up with their own controller grips for that thing that'll have different levels of comfort. And so, I mean, you're going to have all kinds of stuff to choose from before it's all said and done. And I think in terms of third-party controllers in general, I don't know if there will be much of a market for it, given how much, in terms of the motion controls and everything that's crammed into these controllers. But there's always that chance that they release a standard, these third parties release a standard Pro controller that doesn't have all the bells and whistles just for, certain games, maybe third-party games that don't utilize a lot of these features. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not worked up about it.
Yeah, so, and even the Pro controller has an Amiibo reader in the Pro controller. Yeah. So, that's why, and you'll see that, and you're like, why is the Pro controller $70? Well, they're trying to, when it comes out, the people who are not going to use a Joy-Con grip, that'll be their primary use. They'll have to use it use it for a place to put their Amiibos, because Amiibos will be around and they are still popular.
Yeah. I mean, we had some experience with this the other night when you were trying to get a hold of the Breath of the Wild Amiibos. Those things were already selling out. They got a kind of a resurgence there, because I know they were kind of somewhat declining in popularity. It seemed like there for a while, because of course when they came out, they had supply issues, and then those were resolved, and everybody, I guess, that wanted these things sort of got them. And they've been releasing some on and off over the past year, but none of them have been like huge hits. But I guess after the Switch event and people saw Breath of the Wild, they want all that Breath of the Wild merch they can get, and so yeah, they're going to continue making a killing off of that. I'm sure they'll have some really cool Amiibos coming up. We know that the Cloud and Bayonetta Amiibo haven't been released yet, as far as I know. And there was rumors going on that they were going to save that for the launch of Smash Brothers on the Switch, which we all kind of still assume that they're going to port the one from the Wii U to the Switch, and maybe add in the 3DS stages as well, which would be great. That would be awesome if they did that. Just because it wasn't announced at that event doesn't mean it's not coming. They're probably just saving it for E3. That's an E3 game right there.
Yeah, there's a myriad of stuff that hasn't been released yet, and let's spend this time to talk about things that we think that they're going to release, and then we'll get into our last point. This is one going a little off the cuff here, but an interesting tidbit came up. I saw that the Nintendo Switch is going to have airplane mode. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why would the Nintendo Switch need airplane mode? to my basic understanding is that in order to have airplane mode like on your phone, is that to make sure that you can't, it has to deal more along the lines of cell reception than so it makes me wonder if this going to have the capability of you're going to put them on data plans and being able to maybe have being able to play online on the go.
That's a distinct possibility because the Vita had, when they released it, they had a 3G model, or maybe it wasn't 2G, it was 3G, I think. And it was like maybe $50 more than the standard version, which you wouldn't think it would. You'd have to pay $50 more to just putting a SIM card slot on it. That's a definite possibility. I think that would be a wise move to make to sort of push on the portable nature of the system. If you could do that.
And so and that just got me to thinking. Now I don't. Nintendo's had converters, and they're mainly in Japan along those lines. But I don't know if they'll go out of their way to do that. In terms of anything else, I think mainly. Let's see. They're having a Fire Emblem Warriors direct this Wednesday. Probably expect a new announcement of a Fire Emblem Switch game, a mobile Fire Emblem game, and probably some virtual console games that are coming. And in terms, but yeah, we already kind of talked about the possibilities of all the different types of games that could come to the Switch. So now let's go into the last point. And people, I saw today on Twitter somebody post something about retweet if you're excited for a Switch, and favorite if you're not. And there I saw more people had chose not instead of retweeting it. Mm-hmm. But numbers do not lie that all pre-orders, you cannot pre-order a Switch right now if you wanted to. There are none available. They have went through their initial allotment. Mm-hmm. So does that kind of prove people wrong that the Switch will be DOA?
Oh, definitely. And I mean, Twitter people are going to be Twitter people. You've got your fanboys in there that they have their multiple accounts, so they can go on there and favorite it a gajillion times. Really clever guys. But yeah, the numbers are the most important thing for these companies at the end of the day. Nintendo knows they're onto something. People talk about the stock price, and like the investors apparently weren't, happy, or that's what people perceive with the nosedive that the stock price took after the announcement of the system. But you can expect that to quickly rebound with the news of these pre-orders, basically being out of stock. You can't pre-order the thing now, basically. It's going to sell well. As we said, once Pokemon hits, that's going to be huge. I mean, it's going to be big when Mario Kart hits. The people didn't buy Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U because they didn't know what a Wii U was. It wasn't marketed. It wasn't advertised. The game wasn't advertised really at all. I think that's going to change with the Switch version. I think they're going to market that, and obviously I think they're going to market the system very well. And all these games that weren't necessarily system sellers for the Wii U will be system sellers for the Switch. But again, once Pokemon hits, and I'm still fairly confident that it's going to come this year. I don't know what game it's going to be. I have no evidence to back that up with, just this sort of suspicion that it's going to come out, because we have Mario coming in December, and November would be a prime sort of launch date for Pokemon, because that's usually when it comes out anyways, November. And I'm not aware of any games coming out in November. But when it comes to the games coming out later this year, they sort of have vague release dates like fall, spring, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's going to sell gangbusters. It's going to be another Wii situation where it was like with the first 2 years of that system, where you're just not going to be able to get your hands on it. It's going to be insane. And a lot of people are concerned that Nintendo is going to artificially inflate demand by releasing a very limited supply, which it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I think it's going to be more of an issue if they really won't be able to keep up with the supply of this. And a lot of people are also worried that if they did that, a lot of people that are interested in the system will lose interest over time and just not bother with it. I don't think it's going to be the case. If they have Wii levels of marketing here, you're going to be constantly slapped in the face with a Switch advertisement. You're going to be constantly reminded of what this thing can do. And while not necessarily PlayStation or Xbox fans have any interest in that concept, the general gaming populace at large, the non-informed gamer out there, is going to look at that, and they're going to have a use for that. So when they're like, people, I want to get into this, but people look at the Switch and they look at the portable nature of it, and they say, well, I don't go on the go anymore. I don't, take long plane trips. I don't get on a bus, this sort of thing. Well, okay, great, good for you, but it doesn't necessarily have to. The portable aspect of it doesn't necessarily have to apply to that. You can use it just, sitting on the toilet. I know it's a big joke, and we all make it with the Switch with a Wii U. But, even in like that advertisement, the guy taking his dog for a walk, I know there's people out there say they won't do that, but there's people that will. There's people, go out, have a family cookout and, be sitting out there on their picnic table or something, or out there on their deck and pull the Switch out waiting for their hamburgers to cook. I mean, just little things like that. People are going to find uses for it to where you don't really have to stop playing the game. It's going to sell gangbusters. Let's be real.
Yeah, and to me, I think Nintendo probably cautiously did this with pre-selected their allotment to everybody for the sheer fact of knowing that they weren't going to sell at a loss, and they were trying to make the minimum. And I think they'll probably I think they'll end up making the minimum that they do all along, and go far beyond that, because they hired a new PR director. They're trying to get with the marketing. They're trying to push forward this, and all hands are on deck. There's no longer a Wii U and a 3DS. There's just a Switch. Yes. And it's going to be tougher to. It's like, oh, my kids want this 3DS game, or it's just going to be a Wii U game. It's just going to be the Switch, and kids. If you're, it's going to bode well for. It's boding well for the future. Just the nature of the console, and it's going to be tough to find, I think. And that you said that's your reason for why you went that way. And you made a good decision, because everybody has already got it. And like literally it was 40 minutes after my GameStop had opened. It was 10 o'clock. And then online, the regular Switch units were sold out on GameStop. I called Nintendo yesterday and, talking about trying to find out when the Pro controller is going to get released. And they said they had a man call trying to acquire a Switch. He said he had placed his pre-order. He was going to the order confirmation screen. He clicked to confirm his order, and as soon as he clicked it, it said that they were no longer in stock.
Wow, that's not surprising. I went the day after the event, Saturday, and I was sitting there all day, just kind of going back and forth in my mind, like, should I wait? Should I wait? Should I wait? And just, sort of hit me, get it now. So I called up my GameStop, like, you got any pre-orders left? It's like, we got a few. I had to round up some of the stuff I was going to trade in. That took me a little bit. I'm like, I gotta get this done quick. I get down there, and thankfully, still had that few left. But if I'd probably waited another hour, I doubt I would have been that lucky. And the guy there that was working at GameStop, so it's probably one of the few people in my location to actually fully pay off the system. Right there at the beginning, once we just put the bare minimum down, paid off over time, which is fine. That doesn't matter, but just goes to show how badly and how quickly I changed my mindset on it. And I don't regret it. I came home with a pretty good feeling. Like, I've got a really good feeling about this thing.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling that the Breath of the Wild, they have delayed it for a while, and that they wanted to make sure that it was the highest quality game that could possibly be, and the fact that it is going to be a launch title, I think, changes the game for the Switch.
Yeah,
and it does so much. And I think people, they look, like we talked earlier, they look at the launch lineup and they kind of shrug. But you can't shrug at the Breath of the Wild. It is worth those 4 games times 2, the other 4 games times 2, and knowing just people are very impatient in this day and age. Go ahead and get it, because you're going to get good games for it. Because it's going to happen because even if you own one of the other consoles already, there's going to be Nintendo games on there that you can't get. Now, so to me, there's really no, go ahead and get a Switch. I know Parental Floss is probably crying that we bought a console at launch. But, it's going to, I think it's going to change the way that people game. Gaming has gotten stale. It has got confined, and now a breath of fresh air comes to switch it up, and I'm going to enjoy it, because my brother has an Xbox One, and my best friend has a PS4. I respect both of those systems. They have great games on there, and now it's time for the next. It's time for the next Nintendo console, and then this is one that I think everybody can get behind, guys. There ain't no war. This is what we can agree upon. We can take this anywhere.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And I mean, just going back to Zelda for a minute, even if you've played a Zelda game before in your lifetime and it didn't really resonate with you, this is one you got to play. I got a feeling that this one is going to make Zelda fans. It's going to make new Zelda fans. I mean, you've got so many new gameplay concepts thrown in there. You've got survival aspects. You've got stealth. It's just amazing. Zelda's never been like my top, number one favorite video game franchise or Nintendo franchise. But I'm looking forward to this one with a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement. And most of it came from watching that trailer, because I've been, keeping up with the game ever since they've announced it. It's like, at a certain point, you're like, oh, come on, just, release the game already. At a certain point, you get so many trailers, so many gameplay videos, you almost stop caring. But that trailer, mind blown. I mean, that's one of the best trailers Nintendo's ever done. I mean, I don't see how anyone could watch that and not want to buy a Switch. I mean, but come on, you want to play that on the Switch. You want to play that on the Switch. You've got to play it on the Switch. You're going to have better frame rate, higher resolution. You're going to be playing the thing on the go. It's going to be fantastic. Get it.
Yeah,
get it.
And I was talking, about people whether they should get the Switch, and I know some people that hasn't gotten the Wii U yet. I was like, listen, I'm the biggest Wii U advocate there is, but at this point, I mean, most of the stuff that the Wii U has gotten will come to the Switch. So unless that later down the road that you really want to play like Shin Megami Tensei or Xenoblade Chronicles X, or you want to play Pokken Tournament, which might end up getting ported, right? Super Mario 3D Land or 3D World. So, there's those games that you want to play on that. Go ahead and get a Switch. Don't worry about it. And I think that's what a lot of people were doing. So I think you'll see a lot more people buy the Switch than the Wii U at launch. And in terms of that, what you talk about, the Zelda trailer, there was during watching the presentation, there was multiple expletive laden, like just a joy fest. And that's at the end of that trailer. I mean, I've seen a lot of trailers, and it started off slow and made me wonder, is this Breath of the Wild? And I'm like, yeah, it's Breath of the Wild, and oh my God, this is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
It's like this is going to be great, and like you said, there's a lot of changes. There'll be a lot of callback for Zelda fans, and and I think it'll be good for both parties, and the classic fans and the and new incomers. So really, basically what we covered. Yes, there are some negative things about the Switch, but there's negative things about every console. And I would not be, if you're out there and once GameStop gets more allocation back there, I would recommend to you get it if you can, because basically saying go get it now is a moot point, but in the future it will not be.
Yeah. Exactly. Keep your ear to the ground, folks. It's going to be. I have a good feeling about it. Like it's something I can't explain. It's not something that's scientific, but it's just feeling pretty positive about it. I'm really looking forward to it, and the March 3rd can't get here fast enough. It really can't. Like I've never anticipated something this much. I don't think ever. It's going to be great.
Well, I don't think that there's ever been a console that I know I'm in the first year I'm going to get games. There's many games that I like in the first year. Mm-hmm. So just going down the games that we know that are released that I plan on getting to because of my interest: Sonic Mania, Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Skyrim, NBA 2K18, Fire Emblem Warriors, Ultimate Street Fighter 2, and they're not. That's not counting the games that Breath of the Wild. I've already is coming with the what I get. Birth of Isaac and Heroes. Let's see, and Readout. And see 1-2. And I'll be honest. I think 1-2 Switch is going to. I think it's going to be a good casual game for parties to introduce people to the concept of the Switch. So I think a lot to help the Switch get out to the general public. It's like its own advertising for it. And then I didn't like necessarily the style of ARMS, but I appreciated the gameplay of ARMS.
Yeah. And they announced afterwards that the motion controls would actually be optional in the game, which is kind of different for Nintendo. With the Wii, most of the games, not all of them, but most of them, were like motion controlled only, like some of the bigger titles like Mario Galaxy, for instance, and the Twilight Princess, which is what kind of made that somewhat the inferior version compared to the GameCube. But I'm with you on that whole list. Like the only one I think I would add that we know of that's coming is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Now, keep in mind, folks, I didn't like Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 all that much. I don't actually particularly care for the 3D fighting style that Dragon Ball Z has indulged in over the past 10 years. But I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, because I want to support third-party games where I can. And while I don't think that the style of the newer Dragon Ball Z games necessarily works for the series, they're not horrible games. And I think I want to see what improvements they made with the sequel. And the fact that Namco had the good sense to bring the game to the Switch, give them some love and buy that game. Not saying day one, but it'll be week one or month one, I can guarantee you that. And thank the Lord that they got rid of the region locking, because now if they do a Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission 3 or 4, whichever one they're on now, I can import it, because I know they won't localize, but by God, I can import it and I can enjoy that. So that's fantastic. But yeah, again, agree with the list. Skyrim, I've actually already played Skyrim. I haven't played through the whole thing, but I have played it. It's a really solid game. I'll get it on the Switch and actually finish it this time. Rayman Legends. I didn't play that one on the Wii U or the PS3, PS4. I played the first one, the Origins. It's a really good platformer. If you love 2D platformers, the game's a must play, and I think Legends is probably even better. So that's what I'm going to be checking out. And then of course, whatever's going to come out come at E3. If there's going to be a new Assassin's Creed game, I'm all over that because I love that series. New Call of Duty. I've got a good buddy, here where I live, and we love playing Call of Duty split screen. They break a Call of Duty for that thing, and it's got some split screen multiplayer. It's got some zombie mode we're in. I mean, I'll buy that thing. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, and think about, you could play Call of Duty on your own, on a home console, one on your screen and one on the other, So even if you weren't in even if you weren't near TV,
yeah, exactly.
But so, and not to mention, you mentioned Skyrim. I'm buying it for the sake of, I never played it, and it's always looked interesting. Haven't had the system to play it on, and for me, Project Sonic. So in the Pokemon games that we know we're going to get, I think there's going to be a lot of games that eventually come to it. And as you can see, it's all about games. You look at the 3DS. The 3DS was the best, selling portable because of games. The Vita was not because of the games. And despite the Vita obviously being technically superior to the 3DS, but if there's a lot of them sold, people will make games for them.
Yeah, exactly. You bring up some interest there. Going back to what we were talking about before with, possibly there not being a web browser there, and maybe even not even having some of the streaming services. You can't say that this system isn't about anything other than gaming. It's just about gaming. I go on my PlayStation 4 sometimes. I'll look through my friends list, and I'll see 3 or 4 people on Netflix. They're on Netflix like 90% of the time I get online. So I'm not using the system necessarily for its intended purpose. If the Switch doesn't have any of that stuff, it's purely a gaming machine, and that's exactly what people will be buying it for. So I mean, yeah, it's all about the games. They've made that very clear, which I can very, very much appreciate.
Yeah, and and the Wii U went out of its way to be an entertainment system because it had the TV remote. It's an effective TV remote. It went out of its way to do off TV play, so people could watch TV and still play the Wii U when hooked up to the TV. Does Netflix, YouTube has probably the best internet browser of its generation by far. So it went out of it. It was entertainment, and they saw that. I think that's one of the things that Nintendo saw that both of the competitors are doing, and they saw that there's no point in offering these things because if so many and you can get Netflix on anything, then they'll probably end up having like Netflix, and they'll probably end up.
I think so.
But that's not. They're not going. It's not going to be priority. It's not why people are going to get on the Switch. People are going to get on the Switch to play games, and that's what it's going to be for.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, Netflix is on everything. I kind of find it funny. I see so many people using their PS3s and PS4s on my friends list for like Netflix.
Oh, it's not just that. It's Xbox Ones as well.
Oh, I don't doubt it. And I'm just thinking, you can buy a $35 Roku and just do the same thing. But people do what they want to. It's fine. It's just like you've got this $300 or $400 console and you're watching Netflix on it. Okay, I can see you using it for Blu-rays because it's a fine Blu-ray player, but streaming services, I don't know. But that's that's their business. But still, yeah, I mean, again, I think it's going to have the services. I mean, all you can go on is what you see and what you don't see. But there's going to be more that's announced and a lot to look forward to. And as I've speculated in the last video I did, maybe we'll see My Nintendo finally get some use. If they decide to implement missions into full-blown Switch titles. So that would be incredible if that ends up happening.
Yeah, I think that was the whole purpose of my Nintendo. My Nintendo was made with the foresight of the Switch upcoming. That's why you saw from the difference from it and Club Nintendo, when people ironically complained about in masses, the morons that complained in masses, because now you look at my Nintendo, there's for achievement guys, it's going to be great because I think they are going to do that. I think that's what they set the groundwork for. But the rewards are all discounts now on My Nintendo. Makes me wonder when it comes to the Switch, are they going to start making better rewards for it? And now that there will actually be physical games that, prominent physical games that people will be willing to get, and accessories and stuff of that nature that they'll give rewards for.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo seems to be taking a more interest in competitive gaming, so because it's becoming profitable. So you can probably look that for rewards as well. Also, I got in with the little theory about Miitomo, that Miitomo is like a test run for the Avatar system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how likely that is, but Dina, I think Dina did Miitomo, and Miitomo is helped a lot with the creation of Miitomo, and they said the Miis are not dying. If you didn't like the Miis, you were going to be mad. The Miis are coming back.
Yeah.
Which personally, I like the idea of keeping my Mii.
Mm-hmm.
Get old Rhino 41. Get to keep him again. That should be good.
I've got Pokemon Master Rick, and actually created Foxhounder in 313. I went in and registered that one. Nobody's taken that one from me. I've got that one registered over on Nintendo. I don't use it that much, but so yeah. I mean, I've got a little Mii Mario that somebody made. You can download the Miis and all that. It's really cool. So they can really come up with some creative stuff with that. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, you throw those theories out there because you never know when they're going to be right. I knew back last year that going the portable console hybrid route was the way to go, but knowing that's the way to go and the company actually doing that are two different things. But you never know when you're going to get it right.
Yeah, this is true, and and I say that because I think they want to be more intricate with the Miis. So Miitomo has the whole. Miitomo has the clothing and stuff. So I think it'll be I think that's what it ended up primarily being used for. Make it more similar to a modern Avatar than just the plain Miis that we're accustomed to.
Yeah, definitely. Is there any other points to go over?
I think we're done, brother. I think we get a comprehensive look of how to switch it up.
I think so. I hope what we can do in the future, we'll maybe try to make this a series. I guess we can just call it the Dorks Like Us podcast. The Dorks Like Us. DLUS. Is that right? Dorks Like Us. Yeah, DLU. Yeah, there we go. So thank you for watching the DLU podcast number 1, our Switch discussion. Of course, there's going to be a crap ton of Switch news to come down the pike. There's going to be more games announced. There's going to be features announced, and we'll be here to dissect them. I've got some other stuff in the works in terms of I want to maybe re-review that projector because I've got better editing equipment now. I can keep the video somewhat short and tell people what they want to know, and cover some other topics outside of the realm of Nintendo. But I can guarantee it's mainly going to be Nintendo for a while because they're the ones making the news. When it comes to the other companies right now, I kind of have to go back to things they've already done and talk about older games. So it's, it is what it is. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, check out our social media pages, Twitter and Facebook. They'll be in the description below. Ryan, any last words?
Yeah, guys, I want to thank you and commend you for listening to us for so long. I haven't done videos in a while, but I will be doing let's see, probably toward the end of my probably a little bit before the Switch comes out, toward the end of my season coaching, I'll be working on 2 videos on my top 10 Wii U and 3DS games. There'll be 2 different videos of which one's top 10 Wii U and top 10 3DS, to kind of give a send off to both of those systems. Even though Nintendo said they were going to support the 3DS, we all know where the money's going to be made. So just want to thank you guys for listening, and remember, always be dorks like us.
Amen. Catch you guys next time. Peace out.